Hey guys, how you doing?
All right, Wade, we are on YouTube. You can go ahead and get started.
All right, you're gonna give me the speaker. So I got it. Okay. Can you move that to the speaker where it would show or not really?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So you got me as a speaker, right?
Yep, you're a
Right.
co-host, so you're able to share your screen.
All right. Hey guys, I got a lot to talk about today, and what I really want to talk to you about is going to be the process of making offers, and some rate issues have come up this week, and I want to go over them. So here's what the process is, and as you know, we work off of the 80/20 rule when it comes to funding. 80% of the businesses out there are not going to be able to walk into a bank and be able to get a decent bank loan, if any. Unless they got 3 years of financials, they've got great credit, they got, and I call great credit in the 700s, and they've got collateral and all that. Those people, we're not, those, that 20% that have all that, that is not our target market. And if you're talking to these people, sure, you may get people wanting 1 million, 500,000, 400,000, whatever that number is. But what you're going to find out is that we're not going to be able to help them, even with our best rates, because these are the people that should be going to a bank. The only reason they wouldn't go to the bank if they didn't want to put their business up for collateral, they didn't want to put their homes up or certain things as collateral. So the way our process works here is that when we get the offers, the first thing we do is call the client, and we tell them we have an offer. We want to send it now. Want them to go to it, and let's talk about it. But if they don't have time, we want a time to call us back, and we can talk about it. But if we call them and we can't get them on the phone, we're going to go ahead and send the offer. And we'll still try to call them and talk to them about the offer, if we can. Um, what we really want to do in the process is not send the offer until a majority of the lenders, and I'm talking about, 80-90% of them have come back, and then we can look at it, and I can tell, and Brad can, on based on the lender group, whether that hasn't responded, whether or not they're going to be able to compete anyway. So we'll go ahead and make the offer, and if for some crazy reason they come up with this unbelievable offer, then we'll bring it as a third, fourth, fifth option that folks may have. Um, if your client thinks that we're going to be able to help them, and equivalent to what a bank can do, we're already starting out in a very negative fashion with that client. I want to show you a couple things about rates and what's been happening, and this way we'll both be on the same page. And if you have any other questions, I mean, you can go to all that DAC training, and that will be able to help. But let me just kind of start out here and make sure we're on the, let's see here. You guys can see my page, right?
Yep, we can see it.
All right. I'm going to talk to you about funding, the higher rates, and the declined emails and that sort of thing. I got something from a DAC broker this week, and it's kind of common. My client has over a 700 FICO. They do over 50,000 in monthly revenue. How in the world can you justify a 149 rate? Fair question. How can we do that? Well, the rate here's what the rate actually came out. The reason it was 149 on all the A lenders. They came back and closed and declined the files. And unfortunately, we're unable to approve this loan application at this time. Please contact your account manager. The account manager sent me this. Heavily shot with MCA space, high risk due to background issues, and ineligible due to recent decline. They already had the file. And many other of our lenders had already seen this file. And that helped determine what that rate was going to be. Just because a person tells you they got a 700 FICO, they really may even have that. But there's a whole lot of other things that come into play. Remember, it's not just the FICO score that they look at. As a matter of fact, the FICO sometimes is irrelevant, but we send when it comes to something like this, and here's what we were able to get that. We got them 85,000 weekly payments, 11 month terms, a 149 rate. In our eyes, in the space on that particular file, that was a really good offer. As a matter of fact, everybody came in at 149 and a few of them even higher. So when A lenders won't touch it and B lenders and C lenders come back and say, this is all we're going to do. Hey, listen, they're looking for that good file. If that was a good, clean file, then I promise you it would have come back at another rate. Here, on another point is, we get folks that get upset because we decline their client. Now, I've changed this to ABC Company because you don't need to know it, but this is what we received on a rejection notice of someone who's supposed to be a 700 plus credit. It says, thank you for your submission. Unfortunately, we're unable to process your submission at this time. The submission has been declined for one of the following reasons. The merchant is not eligible to be funded. They got too many judgments and collection accounts. I got multiple other ones from others that said they defaulted with LCF group, which is when they owned another business. So in our industry, when you own a business and you go out of business and you defaulted in our industry, that follows you and your name and social security number. Along with if you go in and start another company or go with another company. So there's always reasons. Here's one where the client was seeking 160,000, and these are the offers that I got for this person. I went over them and I thought, listen, the rate's a 124 annual rate. Do that until you can do your math, and it was 2 years. And by the way, this is the first one I had ever gotten with monthly. They offer, there are more and more that on 1 out of 1,000 they'll offer monthly, and I got monthly rates for this. I was excited when I talked to them, but here is the email response that I got. It said, this is a waste of both our time. The terms are worse than the debt I am looking to restructure. The only terms I'm interested in are something like 200,000 unsecured, 1,000 origination fee, and 7% APR. Very respectfully, you just hung up. When I called him and tried to talk to him, I got him, 15,000, like a 129 rate. I mean, 400,000, 129 rate at 15 months. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out, stop sharing. So what I want to talk about is that, the expectations with clients cannot be that they're going to be bank rate expectations. And I did talk to the reps, and they all seem to understand, but a couple of them did not realize that we couldn't do bank rates. We don't send them to do SBA. We got one bucket that we work in, and we've been incredibly successful and do it very well. I've gotten a lot of offers this week that and that were funded that were in the high 2s, high 20s, mid 30s, and quite a few in the 40s as well. But sometimes it is not going to be possible just because we send you thing and it says they're not qualified, the credit. They're not credit eligible. Credit doesn't mean just the FICO score. They're looking at past history of payments. I got one that is it can't understand why we're not going to fund them, and they stop payments on their current lender that they got. I had an offer until they went in and looked, and they found out that this particular client is not even paying the other lender. And then you have situations this week where they have taken their offer with a lender, and they've reduced payments for a while. Well, if they reduce payments because they've got issues with their cash flow right now, we are not their resolution to that. They got to figure something out. No, they don't need to go take more money if they can't afford the one that they already have. They don't need to take more money to pay that. off, we don't need to put clients in a worse position than before they ever met us. And then the final thing I want to talk about is that we never add fees or costs to any offer. For example, um, some of these lenders, when it comes to the real high risk, will charge 5 and 6% lender fee. We get none of that. If a lender came to us and they told us, "Hey, we want you to come on board, we'll let you add 2 or 3 points to that," then they're not legitimate. They are more a brokerage group that's like a mega broker, super broker, I think is what they call it. And this master super broker type group, they go out and they make their money off of these fees. And on top of the cost of funds, we never, ever, ever change the fees or anything of that nature. The only thing I ever do with our team is if they have a 5-point fee, I try to negotiate it down with the lender without hurting our points to a 3 or a 4. It's standard within the industry to have a fee. Almost all the A lenders, except one or two, they don't charge fees at all. That's a great standout for them, but they don't make offers very often either. Most of the time on the really good paper, it's 2.5 points. But the average for B paper and C paper is around 4 or 5. And those fees are helping them pay for the cost of their staff and their company and that sort of thing, so that they don't take part of our commission. So I just wanted to kind of touch base with you and then answer any questions you have about rates, about terms, that sort of thing. And if you are not clear about the 80-20 and that we're just aren't the right fit for a lot of the 20%, probably most of them. But I mean, the guy hung up on me. He was not happy. He blessed me out. And, but you know, I can take it. I understand. This is not for him. It should have never been, it should have been explained to him. And we're going to get better at that. As a matter of fact, David's working on a whole system where you as a rep and us, we're gonna start doing best in class. I mean, we want to make sure that that people know we know it's not for everybody. If they want that money just to set aside as for a rainy day, we're not the right fit for them. If they got a great idea, they got an emergency, they just need to make payroll or something, then these are great fits. Or if they got a long-term plan, like this one that I'm working for, that's over $1 million, has a long-term plan. They need bridge funding. This is expensive. We got it to them in the 20s for the cost of funds, but they got incredible prepayment discounts, which we provide for paying off early. That's what we really are for. We're for all those clients that want to grow their business. And sometimes it's a survival funding. So do we have any questions or anything that I can answer for you to make anything more plain or clear? And again, any question you have about funding, I'm here to answer for you right now. Anybody at all? Okay. Well, guys, I wasn't complaining today. I was basically just giving you facts and letting you know why things happen. And we've got a couple of hands up now, Tyler or McGuire, whoever's handling that.
Yep, Matt, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Wade. Just
Hey.
wanted to jump in. Yeah, and you mentioned about this client, and one of the agents on my team specifically having issues with cost. It's always a matter of saving yourself and the client any grief or any issues up front, and just tell them what it is. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid. Just let them know what it is up front. Save yourself a lot of time and set those expectations. That's all. I mean, you just got to do it. You just got to say, I use the analogy, Wade, of it's like, cost comes up and say, by the way, and it's good to address it rather than, well, I hope they don't bring it up, or I hope they accept the offer, or maybe their benefit's greater than the cost when they get the offer. There's 2 ways to go. Just hope they have a good enough use for the funds that when they see their offer, if they're approved, and it'll happen magically, and they'll decide, out of necessity. I think it's better, and I found through experience that it's better to address it at some point voluntarily before they get to that step in the process, because you're other than just saving you and the underwriters and all that work and time, because there's time and money involved in that, right? You go through, you get these great offers. Tell that client, listen, if you go to the bank, I know it seems counterintuitive to tell them to go somewhere else when you're looking for a client, you're looking for a paycheck, or so you don't want a client, you want to get paid. But you got to say that, because the level of credibility for you go way up in their mind. Your value to them becomes much greater. In that you're telling them it's like getting $3, you got to pay back 4. It's going to be a little more or less, but what are you going to do with the money? Now, I just threw it out there. Yeah, what's it short term? It's not a mortgage. Okay. So you're throwing things out there in their mind like, okay, it's not this, it's not this, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Yeah, I do have a good use for the money. And they're thinking about the only thing that matters is the use of those funds. If it's an emergency, it's in their mind that it's imperative, it's priceless. I need the money or I'm going to lose my business. I can't make payroll. Okay, that's one. And then the other one is, I got this opportunity. It's quick. I can justify, the old saying in sales, people make emotional decisions and they buy and they rationalize their decision later. We all know that. Hopefully anybody in sales 101 who's been successful at all ever in sales understands that people buy emotionally. There's no logic involved, except after the purchase. They rationalize the purchase after making an emotional decision. They do it, okay? So this is counterintuitive in that it's a logical process because I need the funds. It's not, they're calculating their needs, they're calculating the cost, but more importantly, what benefit of having the use of those funds, will it be to you and your business? Now it's an emotional decision. Now they're thinking, well, I could do this and that. Would that at least double for you in the next year if you had it? Hell yeah. Okay. Well, now the cost is irrelevant. So I just wanted to throw that out there, Wade, because this is the crux of it all. Okay.
Yep.
And if you get money elsewhere, good. Get your money somewhere else if you get it cheaper. But we're a resource and we have a better option for you. And that's it. And it's quick.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even talking about your client, by the way, though, your rep's client, but that did happen. But the guy's not angry. The rep just didn't understand why we're giving that kind of rate, and in their mind, they wouldn't take the offer. Well, we're dealing with the client. I think the client's going to take it, honestly, but we'll see. But the reality is that sometimes we don't have fear of cost, because when we talk to your clients, we assume that the client has taken in consideration before they say yes the fact that the cost of funds is irrelevant to not having the funds available.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's it. So it's how they come to us, right? Through referral or through your efforts or whatever. But I'm just talking to the team, right? The agents in the field, right? The guys on the ground. When you have that initial conversation about what it is that we provide or what service you provide here, you're a resource for them for one. Just keep that in mind. So if you get that in your back of your head, I'm just talking for myself. When I make calls, I have to remind myself I'm a resource for when they need me, and I'm going to be honest about the potential cost, but I'm going to redirect them to what use of the funds, what use of the funds they might have. If they don't have a use for the funds, they shouldn't borrow the money in the first place, period, right? If they have a better option for their use of funds, they should do it if it's cheaper. If not, you're the best resource. And that's kind of it. That's our business in a box. That's it.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate you hopping on and making those statements, Matt. Who else do we have here?
We've got Jose. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's say a client wants $25,000 and they can take it at a 0.50, which they're going to pay $37.50 back. And how far out can they get that for? Like 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months?
Yep. It's every file stands on its own merits. Most of them are on, when you start talking 25,000, the last thing that the lender wants to do, Jose, is cut them too short because they don't want them to pay over a 35% margin. In other words, if your debt to ratio on this is 35 or higher, then they got to either expand it or not offer it. So most of the time you're talking 6 months to 12 months on those kind of deals. But very seldom does the 25,000 go all the way out to 12 months. Usually that's you got to be above 35,000 to be 12 months or more. And usually something like that is going to be anywhere from a 6 month to an 8 month deal.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know right there. That way I can explain that, and then right then they can I can figure it out for them, and then we can go from there if they're accepted.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
man.
thank you very much.
All right, we've got Charles. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good morning, Wade. Didn't really have a question, but I wanted to just post a comment. Thank you for pulling the curtain back and showing us what exactly goes on behind the scenes on your end. That helped me understand a little bit more about some of the declines that I've gotten. And I remember one of my declines, you were so kind to actually kind of talk a little bit to me about, I mean, not everything that happened, but just help me explain a little bit more because I thought that was a good file, but this guy had some other internal things going on that I wasn't aware of. So I just want to say I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thanks, man. And just riding off of that point, I mean, I had one that recently that the file is incredibly great. The credit score is incredibly great. I was expecting unbelievable, and it got turned down by everybody. And the reason it got turned down is because of it was a terrible crime that was committed, and this person went to jail for it. And almost every lender looks at that, and if it's within the last 7 years, you can forget it. I mean, they're just not going to do it. An egregious type crime is going to stop them, but the file looked great, so I could hear in my mind what the agent was thinking, and I can't go tell that agent about that. I don't have that kind of authority. I'm not going to give them information that I think is a privacy issue. So we're kind of, I was talking to David about it today, and he said probably we could give this stuff, but there's no need to go through all that. You just got to, you either trust us or you don't, and we're not adding anything to your client. We don't get paid if they don't get funded, so we're doing everything we can, and we're not trying to gouge people. We're trying to give them the best offer that we can, but sometimes it is what it is, and there's nothing else we can do. All right. I think that's everybody. And listen, guys, I appreciate you being on. I hope you got a little bit out of this. I try every week to give you something to think about and that can help you out in the field. You guys have a